Hey, welcome to my place. Come on in. I mean, first started playing hockey basically when I was 5 or 6. I think 6 was my first year of officially playing hockey. And I have an older brother who's 4 years older. So he was in hockey, 4 years before I was as well. And it's just as part of growing up in Canada where I was, you just play hockey. Like all my friends, everyone played hockey. So that's how I initially started, but I started being a goalie when I was 8 years old. All right, we good? All right, so I'm gonna tie a fly here. It's called the Clouser minnow. It's a pretty simple little fly, basically used to imitate little fish in the water. So let's get started here. I'm gonna start by wrapping on some thread. Oh, look, there's caps on there. Cutting off the excess. And then once we get to the right spot, somewhere about here, I'm gonna add in these little dumbbell eyes. So these are weighted eyes that'll help the hook ride with the point here. We'll be riding upwards in the water column. So I think the story of my hockey development and from minor hockey through pro now where I am, I think it's kind of like a story of just continuing to work and continuing to have to prove myself at every level. Not really getting an opportunity to just, some people when they're young they get drafted and they get all these opportunities given to them to justify why the team drafted them in the first place, right? So, I've never had those opportunities. I was never drafted to the OHL in junior hockey. I was never drafted to the NHL. But at each step, I've tried to really battle and really prove myself and earn the next step, right? So I think with junior hockey, it was the same thing. I played junior C, which a lot of people in Canada look at junior C as like why bother? It's not good hockey, but it's a good stepping stone. It's a good way to go the right direction, right? And then junior B, and then junior A, and then not getting to go to Division I in the US, but playing Division III instead. Still, baby steps, constantly trying to go the right way. Come on. And then wrap it on nice and tight so that hopefully it doesn't twist around while you're fishing or while you're catching fish. All right, so at this point, I'm ready to start adding a little bit of my materials. Haven't done one of these in a little while, so hopefully remember exactly where they go. All right, so we're gonna go with some white, just a little bit of deer hair, a little deer tail. So I'm going to tie this right here with it extending forward. Just a couple wraps there to secure that. And then I go underneath there and then over to the front where I'll take a couple little loose wraps there so that it doesn't completely spread around the hook where I don't want it. Now it's staying nicely on top and I can trim off some of this excess. Go back in for the rest. Honestly, one of the biggest challenges I had was, growing up. There was a couple things before I even got to college hockey. I was in my hometown. I was one of the two goalies that were known to be the good goalies in town, and I got cut for what appeared to be no reason, and that weren't hockey related. That led to me being cut. That didn't have anything to do with myself or my family, but people around the organization, right? So it's hard to take to learn that not everything's in your control and it's not just about who's good at hockey, right? So, and then when I was playing junior B, I thought I deserved more of a shot than I was getting, so I decided to go talk to the coach, and he just yelled at me about all these things that I have to think he was just having a bad day. And he took it out on me, and he actually made me question my love for hockey and if I wanted to keep playing. If I wanted to go back down to junior C, where it was comfortable and it was easier. But I really don't like to give in to things like that, and you know, even when a season's going bad, you've got to keep fighting and giving it your all, right? So, you know, I didn't let that coach beat me down. And I'm really glad I did, because I'd be really pissed off right now if I had missed out on all this great experiences I've had from hockey because of one kind of a jerk coach, right? So, you know, I'm very happy that I didn't let that get me down. And a little bit. All right, now I can straighten that out there. Bring it back. At this point, I can rotate the hook the other way and get my green for the top side of this fly. I'm maybe doing this one a little bit, you know, maybe not quite as much deer hair as I would always do, but sometimes it's better to have a little bit less in these kind of flies. So in this case, I'm only wrapping at the front of the hook, just doing some light wraps so I can make sure it stays where I want it. And then I pull tight, and all that hair should stay exactly where I wanted it. I think my style is very much my own. You know, it's somewhat, like you said, a mixture of a lot of these old goalies with the modern stuff thrown in as well. And I grew up, my favorite goalie when I was growing up was Curtis Joseph, and he was known for being acrobatic and making fantastic saves, just like Dominic Hasek. And then even when he retired, then my favorite goalie became Marc-Andre Fleury. And I think, you know, I didn't realize how short of a period of my life Curtis Joseph was in Toronto, and that he was my idol. And Marc-Andre Fleury has been my role model, my idol for almost 20 years now, right? So, you know, Fleury, he's like that as well. He makes saves that you don't expect him to make, and he makes them in weird ways, and he's just diving all over and having fun with it. And I think for myself, playing a game as a robot, doing the right things all the time is not fun. You know, it takes the creativity out of the game a little bit, but then you make them scramble and you make them battle, and things happen that they weren't expecting, and all of a sudden they can't play the game. And to me, I think my skill set lies more in that playing the game side rather than the technical side. And you know, I think in the last few years, even with my equipment choices, my brown retro pads and my retro helmet now, and it's kind of all tying together my identity as a goalie who's not your cookie cutter technical goalie, but I can do those things, but I can also do what I have to do to make a save. So, you know, it's just more exciting to me to play where you're not locked into you know, the technical stuff all the time, and you can just use your feet and you can trust yourself, and you can make some exciting saves. So yeah, I think that's definitely more my style. And actually, I had guys in the ECHL, they used to call me a gamer sometimes, and it's kind of like you know, it's almost like respect but an insult at the same time, like, haha, we didn't think you were a good goalie, but you really showed us, kind of thing, right? And it's like, screw you guys, you know. The games are what matters. So yeah. Now I can cut off the extra green on a little angle so it creates a nice little head there, and then tie this forward and get this nicely shaped there. So from your side, there we go. Bring the hair along. All right, so now it's looking pretty close to what I wanted. Maybe a little bit more white would have been good, but for now we can just kind of tie this one off. There's the whip finisher, and this is called a whip finish. So basically you're just wrapping the thread over itself a bunch of times, pulling tight, and then doing it maybe one more time. And there we go. So I'm going to cut that thread off, and that is a very, very sparse, very light Clouser minnow. So yeah, bring it back. And there we go. So for my gear, you know, I used to be, when I was playing in the ECHL, you can be traded at any time. I played in Wichita and I bought gear that's all blue and white and black, and I get traded to a team that's green and white and neon something. It looked so chaotic that I kind of realized, like, when you play somewhere like that, you should really pick colors that can work anywhere, right? And there's only really one option for that, and that's white. And white is just boring as hell if you're going to be all white gear. The retro brown look looks good no matter where you go.
You know that you are into fishing, so where did that passion come from?
Just growing up, my family was really big on fishing, and you know, my dad would always take me fishing when I was younger. We'd go camping, and fishing was always a part of that. Early on, fishing seemed kind of like more like it was a summer break, summer vacation camping kind of activity, and so we didn't do it as much, you know, as I do now. But it was always part of my life. I had an uncle who was an enormous fisherman. It was a huge part of his life, so I think I kind of took after that a little bit. And then when I graduated high school, I worked in an automotive shop for a little while, and my boss there, he was a huge fisherman as well. He used to keep his boat at the shop, and sometimes we would just take the boat and go out after work. So that was when I got back into fishing much more seriously. When I started building up my collection of fishing rods and gear, and at this point I think there's something like, you know, in the summer when I'm at the cottage, I have my, you know, 13 or 14 fishing rods with me ready to go at a moment's notice. So that was basically, you know, maybe when I was 17, 18 is when I really started to get a lot more serious into it. But it's been a part of my life my whole life basically, so yeah. And I just loved it, and it kind of felt like I'm a little more old school in my style already, you know, a little chaotic. So having the brown pads to look retro seemed like a perfect fit, and it just kind of, you know, stuck from there. So this year, you know, I've got the same color again, but I've got a little more details. I've got boots across the knee, got little accent details to it, and yeah. So I'm just, you know, I know they're going to get covered up at some point with an advertiser, but it's been really cool, really nice to play with the no advertisements for a while and kind of show off that style. And I thought for my helmet, I just thought if I'm going to go retro pads, you know, it'd be really cool to go with a clean retro helmet style as well. So I just copied the New York Rangers goalie from the 90s, Mike Richter. He used to have that Statue of Liberty helmet, and it said Rangers on the side, so, you know, same thing, just with Jukuri instead. Yeah. I guess we're ready to start making some brownies here. So behind you I've got my little whiteboard here. I have to convert all my North American recipes into grams and milliliters and everything, so yeah, so I've got to work off of that board. My pot up here, which one do I want? Let's use this one just for ease. All right, so pull out the phone as well, get the original recipe going. Where is it? Messenger brownies, there we go. Straight from my mom's recipe book back home, so. All right, I'm gonna pull out some butter. Let's see, you know what? All that butter's going in there. Good enough. Get rid of this. Yeah, so it was nice to get the opportunity to come here. You know, it was a fresh start to come here, and it was cool to come in and see, with Yone coming in as well and really trying to change the way the team played and push the team. It was cool to see, even from the first time I arrived, that guys were committed and guys wanted it and guys were working hard, right? So it was like a breath of fresh air coming in, getting to play with that. Obviously, we didn't have the most success for the first part of my time being here, but then the last few games of the regular season, we were pretty hot, you know. And going into the series with the Pelicans, like, you know, everyone was nervous, but I think we all felt pretty good about how we were playing. And you know, we lost the first game. I think that was a game we could have won, and I think it was not to be jumping on the refs or anything because they have a very difficult job, but I think there was a few mistakes they made that actually cost us that game. For example, the first goal of the game, I had it clearly covered and they just knocked me in the net. But in the end, it doesn't matter because we pulled the win out. But we could have had that game too. You know, we were right there. And then after that, I think everyone was a little bit upset, a little pissed off, and wanted to win. So it was just, you know, 2 overtime wins in that series. That's just impressive that we were able to pull that off. And when we were in Lahti and we saw, you know, Petey put that final goal 5-hole in overtime, that was just like the biggest relief. Like we did it. We don't have to fight anymore. Like we get to just enjoy this moment. And yeah, that was just huge. I'm sure the fans really loved the fans that were there. It must have been an exciting moment for them too. But you know, being on the ice for that was pretty cool. So one of the fun parts about where did my cocoa go? There it is. One of the fun parts about baking and cooking here is trying to figure out what everything is and finished. You know, I'm trying to find it at the grocery store. Yeah. All right. 4.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder. This is 3. Get in there. 4. And roughly a half. We're not baking a cake, so I don't think it matters if I'm 100% dialed in on this exactly. So, all right, turn that down a little bit. Okay, it is too much, 129. Trying to make it healthy, you know. 120, 115, that's close enough. Just a little shave. Good enough, 118. We're calling that good enough here. Add this into the pan. Hopefully the heat kind of helps it melt a little bit. That's 200 grams. I guess the more you bake and the more you cook, the more you learn eventually. So let's see, 200 grams of sugar. I think, you know, for our team, we know that it's going to be a battle all season. There's not going to be easy games. We have to just basically keep playing as a team, play hard, put all our effort in. We're not going to win every time, even doing our best, but we will win more often than people are going to give us credit for if we do that. And I think you know, the first couple games of the season, people might look at that and say like you know, what is this team doing? But I think we've showed moments in those games even where when we do play the way we can, we have success, and we have a lot of success doing it. So we just need to, as a group, believe in that. And if we do, I think our goal should be to be pushing into the into the play-ins, into the playoffs. And if we, you know, it's a big ask, but I think we just need to believe in ourselves, and that's something that's not always easy when things aren't going well. But I think that's a good goal for us, is to be pushing and trying to battle into a playoff spot if we can. Okay, well, we're gonna try to mix this a little bit. The butter is gonna be a bit of a pain in the ass. I should have warmed it up. I should have pulled it out of the fridge sooner, but we'll just work with what we've got. But there's some tinsel from fly tying over there. So, looks like this is now, the butter's all melted, the sugar's all incorporated, and there's the cocoa powder in there. So now we can get the eggs. I gotta beat some eggs before I start, so I can pull out another bowl here. Some nicely beaten eggs into this now. And then the last step is going to be adding in the flour at 61 grams. So this flour actually, from the Rantasalmi game, at the end of the game, they I got the little backpack that had some goodies in it, a couple beers, some flour. I was a little surprised to see some flour in the bag, but you know, I've actually used it for pancakes and all kinds of stuff around here. So yeah, so now I'm just mixing in my flour, and then we should basically be getting ready to bake. Typically, if I it's been a tough morning at the rink or something, and come home, make lunch, and then maybe sit down with my book, or I'll sit here on the couch and play some Xbox. I've got a couple plants, I gotta take care of those, and that's something that it just breaks up the day a little bit every once in a while, just to have these different things to do. So yeah, those are the kind of things that I like to do, and if it's a nice day and I've got some time, it'd be good to get out fishing as well. So yes, I did actually just last Monday I made cinnamon rolls for the first time. So I made those. They turned out way better than I expected, and I even brought some of them into the rink, and you wouldn't believe how hard it was for me to give them away. I gave half of it to like Bense, and I gave half to Haksu, and and they didn't really, I think Bense was the most excited to get a cinnamon roll, and he loved it. Finnish people are the worst. Just kidding. No, it feels a lot like just being back at home. There's like Finnish culture, little differences, and this is if you look at the stores and stuff, like if I wanted to go at home, I wanted to find something. Say I wanted to go find a pan for my baking. I know exactly which store to go to, and it has literally everything there, right? There's a lot of options like that. And I've kind of complained about it once or twice, where I said, I went out looking for this one simple thing, and it ended up taking me 2 or 3 hours of going to different stores. And everyone just says, you just need to know where to go, right? Well, I'm figuring that part out, right? So, but everyone's very patient about those things, and it's like, it's something that with North American culture, I'm very used to being able to just go to one store, get something, and come home, right? And here, a lot of people are very, very open to making it part of their day, walking for groceries, or getting out and just spending some time doing these things. And so beyond that though, I think I feel pretty much like I'm at home. It's nice. Everyone's very friendly, but like in a slightly reserved way, right? And people aren't running out of their way to be, fake nice and all these things, but everyone is just nice, and I like that. So this is basically, at this point, this is basically ready to go into my pan. Get a little dirty. Don't really need to go all the way up the sides, and then we'll do the bottom. All right. So I'm just tracing out some parchment paper, and this will just help, this will help get the brownies out of the pan later, instead of struggling and ripping them apart. So that can sit in there. Hopefully that lays in there nicely. Yeah, so that's gonna help release it from the pan as well. So now, oven's almost to temperature, and I can just get the spatula here, clean this off. And then we can start getting our chocolate sugar mass here into the pan. I got my timer ready to go here on the phone. 22 minutes. All right, and here they go. Start. Yeah, so when I moved into this apartment, and I was kind of organizing it and seeing what was in here, looking for bed sheets and whatever, and I found a little wallet in here, and there was a fairly good amount of cash in it. So I started asking. I knew Ludwig Persson lived here last year. I asked him, hey, did you lose a wallet? He said no. Asked around about the goalie who owns this place, Ryan Niemi, and apparently he doesn't even live here. He just kind of rents it. So I was sitting here thinking, well, what do I do with this wallet? I'll just kind of hold on to it and see if anyone comes to claim it. And eventually, yeah, I got a knock at the door, and there was a family who had lived here in the summer, came back and said, "Oh, did you by any chance find a wallet? My son lost his wallet here." I was like, "Well, I'm very glad I didn't do anything stupid and spend the money or anything." So I was happy to give the wallet back to her son. And then I got a knock on the door a couple days later, and I had this nice drawing, nice pencil sketch of me with my number there and the Jukuri logo and everything. So it was pretty cool. So I went out to Tehomet and I got a frame for it, and yeah, so now it's kind of just a little nice piece, and you know, I like to have it showing up there. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna cut up a little slice here, and then maybe get a little half. And hopefully I can get this to come out still pretty warm. There's my nice fudgy brownie. All right, a little taste here. It's really good. I've never had them when they were so hot out of the oven still, but it's very tasty. It's kind of nice and crunchy on the crust here, so. Very good. You guys need to go now. I don't want the cameras here when I eat all the brownies myself. Get your hand there. Go on, shoot. I think they should put the stoplight right at the blue line. That way other teams can't get into our end if it's red. So I would really like that. Might make my job a fair bit easier.